Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video, I'm just going to give you some moves that I made and then just go over some real brief news, nothing too in-depth, all right? This is to prepare for Monday. I'm recording this video Monday, 7:42 a.m. here in Thailand, but that will be about 7:40 or 8:42 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right? So I just want to go over some of the moves I made and what I'm prepping for next week, because next week is going to be wild. All right, so Trump, not too long ago, made a statement in the Oval Office to buy stocks now, right? And the markets kind of didn't react so well to that. You know, they kind of, you know, there's a bump here and there, but it wasn't anything crazy like we saw during the 90-day pause, where right before he announced the 90-day pause, he said, right now is the best time to go out and buy stocks or something to that effect. And then the next day he announced a 90-day pause, and we saw the S&P 500 jump, you know, close to 10%, right? Which is wild. I've never seen an index do something like that in one single day. So that was wild to see that. And that came at a great time because we were at all-time lows, right? That was really crazy, and it looked like we were going lower. But we jumped up, we spiked up, market manipulation or not, whatever. We rebounded, which was good. And we kind of been staying ahead of that. So when he said this again, not too long ago, again, May 8th is when he said this, I thought, you know, hey, history doesn't exactly, you know, repeat itself, but it does rhyme. So I was like, you know what? Let me just keep this as a data point in the back of my mind. Let me see what other new news developments are coming out. There was a committee hearing from AI execs, and they were just grilling them on questions, on policies for artificial intelligence and what the administration can do to help basically, you know, help these companies maintain or even grow U.S. artificial intelligence dominance, right? And on this panel were some very noteworthy people. You have Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI. You have Lisa Su, CEO of AMD. You have Michael and Trader, who's the CEO of CoreWeave, recently IPO'd. They're a data center and partner with OpenAI and NVIDIA. And then you have Mr. Smith, who's CEO or C-suite executive for Microsoft. All right, so all these people were basically just talking with, senates, or not senates. We're talking with this committee and just kind of giving their, subject matter expertise on how government can help them, right? And, there's a lot of good information that came from them. Sam Altman, I really liked his kind of perspectives on how AI is going to grow. And basically it's going to grow based on energy, right? We're winning the chip wars, we're winning hardware wars, but now it's really coming down to energy. So Sam Altman made that point. And then, funny enough, the next day, there was talks of Trump signing executive orders to basically fast track the building and construction of nuclear power plants. So again, it's good to see that the U.S. government is listening to these execs. All right, Lisa Su, she was talking about this whole AI, American stack. Everything from the power to the chips to the hardware, all the way up to the language learning models, the software is all going to be American. And, just like Google's used worldwide, these new or not chat GPTs, but these new language learning models will be used worldwide or could be used worldwide, given more time. So it was just a really interesting conversation. I didn't get to hear too much from Mr. Trader or Mr. Smith. I will circle back on these two because I really wanted to hear what they said, but I did listen to Lisa Su and Sam Altman because those are the two people I'm following for, more information on artificial intelligence and basically, chips. So anyways, just recently, the White House announced U.S. China trade deal, and they offered just a few details. All right, this is going to be huge news. This is going to be developing news. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said that the U.S. China trade talks in Geneva over the weekend were productive. He said that he would give more details in a complete briefing on Monday. And Bessent also added that President Donald Trump is fully informed about the discussions. So Monday is going to rip. So looking at the portfolio, you guys can already see this portfolio jumped a lot, like within just a few days, excuse me, within just a few hours of opening into the overnight market, $3,000 up, right? If we look, and I'm just looking at my watch list here, I have SMH, which is a semiconductor ETF, pure appreciation play. All right, this is not for dividend income, but this jumped a lot. This was, I think, $221 last I checked. Now it's $229. If we look at AVGO, which is Broadcom, this jumped up quite a bit. Palantir went from $113 to $121, which is crazy. NVIDIA, it's been hovering at $119, $120. We look at SPY, they're up, 1.36%, and then QQQ 1.85%. All right, so these companies are jumping, and this affects my portfolio directly. All right, so on Friday before the close, because I also had other news come out, right? These were driving my kind of buys. All right, more research, of course, but this was driving some of my buying decisions. So I put out a call in my Discord that I was picking up 25 shares of NVW, which is an NVIDIA weekly pay ETF from Roundhill. I picked up 20 shares of CHPY, which is a semiconductor ETF from YieldMax, which is an income ETF. And then I picked up 40 shares of PLTW. All right. And this was May 9th, right? I picked this up pretty early in the day as the market opened. And, I'm just reading news. Someone else dropped this in there that NVIDIA was planning to modify their H20 chips to get around, the export license and export controls so they can ship chips to China, right? So this, in my opinion, was also very good news. So having this trade deal, because China is so reliant on a lot of our chips, they don't want to use Huawei, right? In my opinion, they don't want to use Huawei. NVIDIA is the premier, chip manufacturer. So is AMD, right? They want American-made chips, and hopefully these tariffs come down, or some type of levers have been pulled that will allow for these chips to be moved to China. And I think right now the market is just euphoric, with this announcement. There's a lot of potential that can come from this. I think, in my opinion, that chips are going to do very well. That chips were definitely one of the key talking points for China, and they definitely brought that up. In my opinion, of course, and I predict that come Monday, that CHPY and NVW are going to fly. All right, they're just going to fly. As you can see, PLTW is already ripping. Right, Palantir is already ripping. Palantir is one of my favorite holdings. I'm holding them for the long term. You can't convince me otherwise. PEs, valuations, all that other stuff. While it's important and it does fit, narratives for certain stocks. How many times in the news have you heard or read about Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, NVIDIA being overvalued in a bubble? They're not. They're trading freaking infinite times their earnings, etc. How many times in the news have you heard that? How many times has the stock continued to go up? Yeah, there's been pullbacks, and Palantir, I think, is no different. But I'm continuing to buy Palantir. I like the stock, I like the company, and I like what future growth it has. Same thing for NVIDIA. I've talked about NVIDIA a lot on this channel, and I think they're obviously the premier AI chip for the world. All right, you can't beat NVIDIA. You just can't. There's nothing. There's a company called Cerberus that's probably supposed to be their near peer. Their biggest competitor is based in the United States. They're supposed to IPO later this year. But again, I think NVIDIA has the mature ecosystem, a product line that just can't be dominated, can't be dethroned that easily. And they're so heavily embedded already, right? The partnership with CoreWeave and OpenAI is definitely going to boost NVIDIA up over these next couple of years. So just my opinion, of course. I don't have price targets for anybody. I don't do price targets, but it's a strong conviction of mine. So CHPY is a semiconductor ETF, and this one holds a lot of semiconductors that are, companies based in the United States. The United States is trying to bring manufacturing back to the United States. So it just makes sense to have an ETF that has primarily semiconductors in the United States. I don't want to bet against the United States. I didn't want anything, any ETF that held, companies from China, because a lot of, politicians are trying to delist Chinese companies from the NASDAQ and from, our US market. So that's a risk, right? That's an absolute risk. It can happen. Doesn't mean it will, but it can happen. So I wanted, good companies that are based in the United States or from countries that are friendly. Like this one holds, CHPY holds TSMC. I don't know if it'll show us here. Yeah, there it goes. So you have KLA, I believe, is outside the United States. Taiwan Semiconductor. This one is obviously outside the United States, but they're building a plant here in the United States. And then you have ASML. I don't see ASML in here, but ASML is also in here. And ASML, they own the lithography market, right? They're based in the Netherlands. Again, friendly towards the United States. But really, if you dig deeper, I mean, ASML moves at the beat of U.S., policy, right? U.S. purchasing, U.S. economy, right? So they move really at our beat. So I think, again, this ETF is going to do exactly what it's designed to do. Provide higher than normal levels of income with share price appreciation because of its direct exposure to the semiconductor space, right? To the semiconductor companies. It actually holds semiconductors in the ETF. It's not just a synthetic fund, all right? So just my thoughts, of course, not financial advice, et cetera, all that good stuff. So anyways, I just wanted to share my moves that I made, and let's hope for a green Monday morning. I will see you all in tomorrow's stream. And yeah, we'll go from there. All right, guys, have a great night, great evening, great rest of your day. Take care.